Welcome to the Money Over 50 podcast, brought to you by Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue from Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. This information is general in nature and does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, you should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and your personal circumstances. If you require personal advice, please contact Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. Here are your hosts, Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue.
Welcome to Money Over 50 with Dallas and Michael. Dallas, what you want to talk about today, I have no idea how this bears any meaning to aspiring retirees, but you want to talk about driving around at night with a crying baby, trying to put the baby to sleep.
So I feel like most of my topics that we podcast about, I go, this thing happened to me that's not at all related. And of course, it got me thinking about retirement planning. So last night, our 4-month-old baby was very unsettled. I don't know, I think she had reflux or something. And so we went with the tried and tested method of driving around till all hours of the night trying to get her to go to sleep, because that was the only way that she'd sort of be comfortable and happy. So for people who don't live in Townsville, there's a Castle Hill is in the middle of Townsville.
It's quite unique. There's not many cities that have a
Cape Town.
Cape Town. Yeah. That's probably
it's like Cape Town, except vastly less impressive.
What's the mountain in Cape Town called? Cradle Mountain, is it?
No,
it's not.
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah,
it's the famous.
But it's right there.
It's similar.
It's
to
right
that.
there.
So Castle Hill is sort of from the beach. It's right there, right in the middle of the city, and you can
it's really right in the middle of the city.
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
So.
And here's a fact.
I knew you were going to.
It's a hill, not a mountain. It's 6 foot short of a mountain.
Yeah.
So it's 994 feet.
Yeah.
Which I believe
is the
6
the
feet short of a mountain.
Yeah.
So they call it the tiny mountain sometimes. Yeah. So it's right in the middle of the city.
Yeah. and I live nearby there, and so last night I was driving around, as you do. And so drove up the hill, which is sort of a winding road up and around. And people drive up the top of Castle Hill mainly when they're 17-year-olds and they're trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do, or they've got nowhere else cool to be, so they can't hang out there. But so I hadn't driven up to the top of Castle Hill for many, many, many years at night. And I drove up, and as I was driving around, everywhere as you're driving around, everywhere you look, there's sort of lights as far as you can see, basically. And of course, that got me thinking about retirement planning. No, what it actually got me thinking about was, firstly, I was jealous because there's all these houses that have, they had lights on, but the people were, I'm thinking, there's all these people that are asleep right now, that are at home, resting up, and I don't know what got me thinking of this, but I thought...
It does look peaceful when you look out over a suburb.
Yes.
And the lights appear to be flickering gently.
Yes.
Like the lights of the houses. It's like little candles.
Yeah, it was very...
it's very peaceful,
soothing.
and you can picture them in there being relaxed.
Yes.
And you were anything but relaxed.
So I think there's equal parts jealousy and it was peaceful. But it sort of got me thinking about the fact that, so people were all at home, hopefully asleep, resting up. And I just thought, tomorrow morning, everyone's there, and then tomorrow morning it starts, and the day will start, and the sun will rise, and the people who get up early to go to work, they'll get up and they'll get in the car, and the roads will start to get a little bit busier, and then it'll be the kids going off to school or daycare or whatever, and then the rush hour will start of people going to their offices, or tradies driving to their job site, or people traveling around that, and so it'll be that sort of that first few hours of the day where there's people that are at home, and then most of those people, some of them not, but most of those people will get up and get in their car, and they'll go and put their mind and body to work on productive enterprise. And so they will be doing something productive in some capacity. As I say, some will not, but most will be going to try and this is all very conceptual, but they'll be trying to implement some change in the world which they think that that society values. So, if you've got an electrician who's getting up at 6 o'clock and going to work to put solar on my roof, it's because I want that solar and I'm paying him to do that, and I want him to manifest that change in the world. And so the same thing applies with an accountant's going to go to work and he's going to do the books, which people need to do in order to pay. So everyone's getting up and going to work in productive enterprise in some capacity. Now, what I find really interesting is so you think about that, and then in situations or in times, so disregarding COVID, which was a bit different because people weren't getting up and going to work, but when there is a significant drop in asset prices, in company prices, or in property values or whatever, you look at your superannuation balance, and the companies that you own are currently priced 30% below where they were 2 months ago. Now, when you look at that and then you go to sleep and everyone's all asleep, and then you wake up the next day, it doesn't mean that, so your super balance has dropped by 30%. It doesn't mean that 30% of those people and that 30% of that productive enterprise has stopped or disappeared, or the house is burnt down, or the people have died, or the work has stopped happening. Everyone is still getting up, going to work, going to apply themselves to this productive enterprise to try and make the world a better place and try and make those changes in the world that the market values and that they're getting paid for. Now, realizing that and understanding that and taking that into account, it doesn't magically make your super balance go up, but I think it definitely gives some realization of the fact that that's what's actually happening here, is that yes, my super balance has dropped by 30%, as we talked about in our recent podcast about supply and demand. It just means that right now there are less people buying those shares than there are selling it. Some people are forced to sell those shares at a lower price. That's okay. I'm still getting up and going to work tomorrow. My next door neighbour, he's still getting up and going to work tomorrow. Everyone in the suburb over, they're still getting up and going to work tomorrow. They're still doing all those things. The businesses that they work for are still, doing the things that they're doing. They're still making the profits they're making. The kids that are getting up and going to work and developing skills and talents that they're going to go and put out into the world. These things are all happening. The blip of company prices dropping by 30% or 40%, that's something that happens right now. It really has no bearing on that long-term productivity or that productive enterprise that the average citizen of our country and people all around the world is implementing and using their mind and body on. Does that make any sense at all?
Absolutely. Look, I think it's a good way to think about it as well, because one of the flaws of being invested and fully diversified across so many companies, one of the flaws is that it's just so hard to grasp it tangibly.
Yeah.
So, if you're invested in one company, we would say that's under-diversified.
Yeah.
However, it would have the advantage of you being honed into that company.
Yeah.
And if that company was Woolworths, just to make it a real easy example, every time you went to the grocery store, which is every day for our household, you would see firsthand, okay, there's people in here, they're buying things and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm okay.
Yep. When
you're fully diversified, that tangibility factor sort of goes away because it's all reported to you. In fact, your balance can be reported to you in one single spreadsheet cell.
Yes.
And it doesn't reflect the deep, diverse nature of what you're actually invested into if you're fully diversified.
Yep.
But I like the way that you've coined that there because the price has fluctuated by minus 30%. However, the workforce hasn't fluctuated by 30%, minus 30%. The consumption of items, which leads to the profits of those companies, that hasn't fluctuated by 30%. I mean, a really deep recession is a minus 5% drop over the course of a period of time. So that's a deep recession. For every $100 that was getting spent last year, $95 is getting spent this year. That's a deep recession.
There's still $95.
And the thing is, no one set fire to that $5. It's just that it's gone into hiding for a period of time. So look, I think anything that you can talk about to make it more tangible is a good thing. And again, it's a lifeboat drill, because the next time that there is a drop of 30%, if the listeners can remember some of these things, even if you can remember one of these things, then it's useful. If you can remember Dallas's screaming daughter while he's driving up, looking out over all these peaceful houses, and him taking himself outside of that car to think about all of these people are getting up to not only work for productive enterprise, i.e. the companies that you own, but to consume with the money that they've earned from that, to consume the goods and services of those productive enterprises.
I think that's and I think that's the second part to that I'd add is, it's obviously more relevant and more stressful for people when there's that 30% drop. The other thing that I guess I'd say to bear in mind is that the volatility goes both ways. So when those company prices go up by 30%, you also can't get attached to that, because the same thing applies where if you go, hey, I'm a genius, my super balance went from $800,000 to $1.1 million this year, I'm gonna quit my job and go and become a cryptocurrency trader. I go, that may not be, you still have to have the same mindset, which is, okay, well, these asset values have gone up, but is there that much more productive enterprise going on? Is there the same thing applies? And so I think on both sides of that, it's like bearing in mind that it's never as good or as bad as what it seems is the way that I think about it.
Yeah, look, and anything that seems too good to be true usually is. Now, is it feasible that every company in Australia and around the world would increase in value by 30% over a 6-month period of time? No, it's not. No, it's not. Is it conceivable that every company would drop in value by 30% over a short period of time? No, it's not. So both of those things are not really fundamentally realistic.
No, that's exactly right.
So, it comes back to the long-term average that we talk about.
Yes.
Productive enterprise tends to increase by about 10% a year. Again, ASIC, hear my disclaimer here. I'm not promising 10%. No. I'm saying over periods of time, over generalization periods of time, productive enterprise, the biggest and most diversified companies in Australia and around the world have tended to move ahead by about 10% per year.
Yeah. And that's exactly, and that is because those people who are peacefully in their bed at night while I'm driving around a sleeping baby, they are getting dressed, they are going to work, they are putting their mind and body to work, they're providing something of value to society, and they are getting paid something to do that as a result. They are then taking that money and they are transferring that into possessions and experiences and spending that on themselves. That all flows through to the companies that provide those things. So that's exactly right. You just can't get attached to a number, a cell on a spreadsheet of the number is this now. You go, well, whether the number is up by 30% or down by 30%, are you telling me that of the 200,000 people in Townsville right now, you're telling me that 60,000 of them aren't getting out of bed and going to work tomorrow, which they were a month ago? Because it's just not the case. And so that's, I guess, the way that I think of it is the next time we have a period of absolute mania and greed, or the next time we have a period of absolute fear and panic, which is more relevant, more prevalent probably for most people, that's the key to bear in mind. It's never as good or as bad as what it seems in that moment.
Thank you for listening to the Money Over 50 podcast with Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. For more information and resources, visit the Money Over 50 website, mo50.com.au. We look forward to catching up again soon.